They won't raise a red flag. They won't show their hand. The most dangerous manipulators operate in silence and shadows. They charm you, flatter you, listen like saints, but inside, they're building blueprints to control your mind. The most terrifying thing, you won't realize it until it's too late and your choices are no longer your own. You've felt it before. You agreed to something you didn't want, you apologized when you weren't wrong. You kept quiet to avoid conflict, you accepted guilt that wasn't yours to carry. And when you walked away, something inside you screamed, "Why do I keep letting this happen?" This video is your awakening, not a motivational speech, not self-help fluff. This is war strategy. And the battlefield is your mind. To truly stop being manipulated, you must think like those who rule. You must see the strings before they're pulled. And there is no better teacher than Niccolò Machiavelli, the master of power, perception, and control. In his legendary book, The Prince, Machiavelli dissected the psychology of rulers, soldiers, and subjects. He didn't teach kindness. He taught control, because in this world, the kind are devoured, the clever survive, and the powerful thrive. Let's start at the core. Why are you being manipulated? Because people can sense what you crave: validation, love, approval, security. And once they know what you seek, they know how to lead you by the leash. Machiavelli warned, men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. And when you need to be loved, you become predictable, emotional, and easily used. The moment you need someone's affection, you give them the power to hurt you. So how do you break free? You detach your identity from the opinions of others. You become emotionally self-sufficient, because dependency is the root of manipulation. Manipulators are like viruses. They don't attack you head. They find a weakness in your system, a crack in your armor, and slip inside unnoticed. That weakness, it's your emotional hunger. And most people walk through life starving. You must train your emotional radar. When someone compliments you too quickly, when someone overshares on day one, when someone makes you feel guilty for not responding fast enough, those are flags. The manipulator studies your reactions like a scientist. Every time you flinch, get angry, or feel guilt, they log it in their mind like data. And soon, they know exactly how to push, pull, and provoke you. Machiavelli knew that those who master emotions dominate those who are mastered by them. You can be kind, but never emotionally exposed. You can be generous, but never desperate to please. Rule 1 of never being manipulated. Again, control your emotional appetite. Don't chase compliments. Don't fear rejection. Don't seek peace at the cost of your dignity. When you no longer need people, you become unplayable. Now let's talk about silence. Most people talk too much, reveal too much, share their souls too soon. But the more you speak, the more someone can use your words against you. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise." Understand that most people's words are not commitments, they are tactics. Judge people by behavior, not by what they say they believe. Never assume sincerity just because someone shows emotion. Tears can be weapons, vulnerability can be rehearsed. Manipulators cry on cue if it serves their plan. Your defense, patience, and pattern recognition. Let people reveal themselves over time. Let them repeat. Don't fall for the apology. Track the repetition. If someone violates your boundary and apologizes, but does it again, it was never a mistake. It was a test. And the more you forgive without consequence, the more you train them to disrespect you. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming calculated. There is nothing noble in being emotionally reckless. Empathy without discipline is a weapon others will use against you. One of Machiavelli's most dangerous truths was this: people should either be treated well or destroyed, because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries but not of grave ones. In our world, that translates to this: do not give manipulators a second chance, because if you don't shut it down early, you won't shut it down later. Manipulators don't escalate unless you allow them to. Cut the pattern at the root. Do not dance with snakes. Here's the most underrated skill: observing without reacting. When someone is trying to trigger you, don't give them the performance they want. They expect anger. They want confusion. Your stillness will frustrate and expose them. That is the beginning of power. Not shouting, not clapping back, but watching quietly, intelligently, without giving anything away, because silence forces the manipulator to reveal more. They'll over-explain, they'll poke harder, they'll show their hand, and in that moment, you know exactly who they are without giving them a blueprint of you. There is strength in mystery. Do not be an open book. Be a locked journal with blank pages. Let people guess, assume, wonder, but never confirm their theories. People fear what they can't control. So when they can't predict you, can't guilt you, can't flatter you, they move on because you are no longer fertile ground for manipulation. Machiavelli said, "He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived." That's the bitter truth. People get manipulated not because they're stupid, but because they're emotionally available to it. So to be unmanipulable, become unavailable to flattery, guilt, charm, emotional blackmail, and praise. Let your core identity come from internal values, not external feedback. Let your decisions flow from logic, not fear. Let your actions serve purpose, not approval. You are not cold. You are calm. You are not heartless. You are strategic. You are not detached. You are disciplined. Because if you don't control your mind, someone else will. And if you're not the one writing your story, there are 100 people who would love to write it for you. This is how it begins, not with shouting, but with awareness. Not with control, but with clarity. This is only part one, but now you've opened your eyes, and the game will never look the same again. Rule 1 of never being manipulated. Again, become unpredictable. Machiavelli warned, a prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. Why? Because predictability makes you controllable. The more someone can guess your next move, the easier it is to trap you in a reaction. Manipulators are strategic players. They think 10 moves ahead. But they rely on one assumption, that you will always react the same way. Break this with them and you break their influence. If you always say yes to avoid conflict, they'll keep asking. If you always give silence when they guilt trip you, they'll keep using guilt. Instead, say no with a smile, agree unexpectedly, withdraw suddenly, keep them guessing. Machiavelli wasn't cruel for cruelty's sake. He believed control comes through surprise and strategy, not brute force. So train yourself to be calm, deliberate, and unreadable. Never argue to prove your point. That's emotional exposure. Instead, let silence work for you. Say less than necessary, because when people don't know what you're thinking, they project. And projection is a mirror they can't manipulate. People manipulate from two positions, victimhood and authority. They either make you feel guilty or they make you feel inferior. Machiavelli's advice: rise above both frames. Don't fight, don't submit. Redefine the frame entirely. Example, someone says, "After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me." The manipulator is using emotional debt as a weapon. Instead of apologizing or defending, calmly say, "I didn't ask for anything, but I appreciate what you gave." This response breaks their tactic. You're not rude, but you're not guilty either. You reframe the power dynamic, you stay in control. And most importantly, you don't take the bait. Machiavelli emphasized perception is power. The truth doesn't matter if people believe a lie. Manipulators understand this. They use charm, stories, and selective truths to bend your perception. To counter this, master your own narrative. Be aware of how others see you, but don't be a slave to their approval. Design your image intentionally, because if you don't, someone else will do it for you. Let's say you're in a workplace. There's always someone who talks behind others' backs, who manipulates meetings, who whispers to the boss. They don't need facts, they need suggestion. They poison perception. What would Machiavelli do? He'd build counter-perception. He'd praise others in public. He'd stay silent on rumors. He'd lead with calm confidence, because the loudest person rarely has the most power. The most calculated one does. Understand this. Manipulation thrives in emotional chaos. If someone can get you angry, jealous, reactive, they can control you. That's why detachment is your sword. You don't react, you respond, and only when it serves your position. Someone insults you, don't defend. Say, "You're free to think that." Someone tries to guilt trip you. Smile and say, "I'll think about it." See how powerful that is. They're expecting a reaction. You give them stillness, and that stillness shatters their entire plan. Machiavelli believed power was about controlling outcomes, not winning arguments. When someone tries to manipulate you through conflict, they want you to argue. Because in arguments, emotions rise, logic fades, and they get to pull your strings. Instead, ask questions, turn their aggression into reflection. If they say you're selfish, you say, why does this bother you so much? Now they're on the defensive. Now you're in control. Another Machiavellian principle: scarcity creates value. The more available you are, the easier you are to use. The more you explain yourself, the more they see your insecurities. So pull back. Be mysterious. Be selective. Don't overshare your goals, your plans, your wounds, because the less they know, the less they can use against you. People often ask, isn't this manipulative too? Here's the truth: defense is not manipulation. Awareness is, not cruelty. When you protect your mind, your time, your energy, you're not manipulating. You're surviving. The goal isn't to become cold, it's to become untouchable. To move through the world with kindness, but not naivete. To connect with others, but not at the cost of your control. Machiavelli believed trust should be earned through observation, not emotion. He said, it is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose. Why? Because fear is predictable. Love, in the hands of manipulators, becomes a leash. That doesn't mean be cruel, it means be respected, and respect is born when people know you have boundaries they cannot cross. Never confuse kindness with weakness. Say yes, but on your terms. Help others, but without self-abandonment. And always keep one part of yourself untouchable. People may call you distant, cold, calculating. That's fine. Let them misunderstand you. Because while they waste energy guessing your motives, you conserve energy protecting your peace. And that, according to Machiavelli, is true power. To never be manipulated again, you must know the enemy. You must study their weapons, their tactics, their patterns of attack. Because the more you understand manipulation, the less power it has over you. Let's decode the manipulator's playbook, move by move. Each tactic is a precise psychological weapon, masked as love, care, or logic. Once you see them clearly, you become immune to their effect. Move 1. Love bombing. They drown you in affection, praise, attention. You feel special, seen, elevated. But it's a trap, a strategy to make you dependent on their validation. They create a false paradise, then make you fear its absence. Soon, you crave their attention like a drug, and they become your dealer. Machiavelli wrote, everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. Manipulators are master illusionists. They present a mask tailored perfectly to your emotional needs. You must ask, are they genuine or just strategic? Because those who elevate you too quickly will drop you just as fast. Genuine respect builds slowly. Manipulation moves at lightning speed. Move 2. Guilt tripping. They use your empathy against you. Suddenly, you're apologizing for things you never did wrong. Watch for phrases like, after all I've done for you, or I guess you don't care. It's emotional blackmail wrapped in soft words, and your only escape is this truth: you are not responsible for other people's emotions. Let that be your shield. You can acknowledge someone's pain without absorbing it. Their feelings are real, but not your burden to carry. Move 3. Gaslighting. They twist facts, deny what happened, question your memory. The goal? Make you doubt your reality so you rely on theirs. You start second-guessing your intuition. They rewrite history and sell it back to you as truth. You begin asking, am I crazy, when the real madness is theirs. Gaslighting is the most insidious form of manipulation, and the cure is written truth. Document events, save conversations, have receipts for your reality, so no one can erase it. Move 4. Isolation. They turn you against your friends. They mock your support system. They feed you subtle doubts. Your friend's jealous of us, or your family doesn't understand. The strategy is divide and conquer, because when you stand alone, you're easier to control, so protect your alliances. Don't allow anyone to cut you off from those who ground you. Isolation doesn't always come with locked doors. Sometimes it's just discouraging calls, missing events, or us against the world language. Recognize the red flags early and act fast. Move 5. Playing the victim. They paint themselves as misunderstood, attacked, unloved. And if you don't rescue them, you become the villain. This is called reverse manipulation. They flip the script, weaponize sympathy, and pressure you to conform. Again, detach. Ask yourself, are they suffering or strategizing? Machiavelli taught that appearances often disguise intentions. You must look past the tears and into the timing. Why now? What do they gain? What do they avoid? Real victims don't need a spotlight, they need space to heal. Manipulators, on the other hand, need an audience. They perform pain when it buys them control. Move 6 triangulation, they compare you to others, exes, friends, strangers. They would have done it for me, or you're not like them. This keeps you in a cycle of proving your worth. You try harder, give more, silence your needs to outshine the imaginary rival. It's psychological warfare with an invisible enemy. The defense stop competing, step out of their rigged arena. You're not here to win against ghosts, you're here to protect your reality. Move 7, the silent treatment. They disappear, withdraw, go cold, but not because they need space, because they want control. Silence becomes a punishment. You panic, wondering what you did wrong, and they reappear only when they sense your desperation. Don't chase, don't beg, don't explain yourself to silence. Match energy with silence of your own. The moment you stop fearing abandonment, their power collapses. Move 8, future faking. They talk big, marriage, trips, dreams, success, but their promises live in the future because their intentions die in the present. This is bait for emotional investment. You commit based on visions they never intend to fulfill. It's a lie wrapped in hope. Action is the only truth. If their promises never manifest in behavior, stop listening to words. Machiavelli would say, a wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests. So reverse the wisdom. Never believe faith that only serves their interests. Watch the moves, not the mouth. Reality over fantasy. Always. Emotional unpredictability is your shield. The more predictable you are, the more you can be manipulated. So practice emotional unpredictability. Don't react the same way. Every time pause, flip the script, be unreadable. Let them say, I never know what you're thinking. Good. That means you've become Machiavellian. Your unpredictability is your armor, because manipulation feeds on patterns. Break the pattern, and you break the spell. Final rule, power respects. Power, not cruelty, not dominance, but inner strength. When you radiate calm authority, the manipulators retreat. They seek weakness, neediness, desperation. Starve them of that energy. Feed your own power instead, because once you know the playbook, you're no longer the puppet. To never be manipulated again, you must not only recognize the enemy, you must become immune to their influence. Immunity doesn't mean resistance through aggression, but through inner sovereignty. You become so grounded in who you are that no external trick can penetrate your mental fortress. Machiavelli didn't merely warn against deception. He taught how to rule your emotions, your image, and your environment. To him, manipulation was a tool of rulers, but the wise ruler also defends against it. Power is not about attacking, it is about never being shaken. Let's now master the internal defense system, the Machiavellian way of becoming untouchable. Step 1. Own your desires. Manipulators prey on unspoken desires. The more hidden your hunger, the easier you are to feed lies. If you crave validation, they will flatter. If you crave love, they will adore. If you crave success, they will promise shortcuts. You must bring your desires into the light. Name them. Understand them. Once they are visible, no one can secretly bait you with them. Machiavelli believed that a man who understands himself cannot be ruled by others. Step 2. Master your emotions. Emotions are the favorite playground of manipulators. Rage, guilt, hope, shame, these are levers they pull to control your actions. But if you become emotionally disciplined, those levers stop working. Pause before you react. Every time, a Machiavellian mind watches emotions rise but does not let them spill. Power flows to those who can delay their reaction, analyze their feeling, and choose their response. Step 3. Create boundaries without explanation. One of the manipulator's favorite tools is to guilt you when you say no. They'll ask why not and make you feel the need to justify yourself. But justification invites argument. Silence ends it. Your boundaries don't need to be explained. I'm not available. I don't do that. That doesn't work for me. Simple, cold, clear, like a wall they cannot climb, Machiavelli would call this strategic silence. Less said, more power kept. Step 4. Use strategic vulnerability. Don't confuse transparency with powerlessness. Being vulnerable is not weakness when you choose it, but only reveal what you decide, not what others pressure you to confess. Manipulators gather information like spies. They'll feign closeness to extract your secrets, so reverse the game. Share what disarms but doesn't expose. Control the narrative. Let them think they know you but only know what you allow. Step 5. Guard your reputation like a crown. Machiavelli said, "It is not enough to be good, you must appear good." In manipulation, perception is the battlefield. The wrong image gives others ammunition, so craft your